We're on the road with Mickey, we're gonna have some fun. Regardless of the rain or sun, our trip has just begun. So buckle up, let's go, we're about to start the show. And maybe if you like us, you'll see where else we'll go. Hi everyone, I'm Sophie, he's Mike. Welcome to our little corner of the podcasting universe. Hopefully you like the sound of our voices and you want to stick around for the show. Not that it stays in one place for long. I mean, after all, we are on the road with Mickey. So hop in the car and buckle up your seat belts because we've got an awesome adventure this week. Now a brief rundown before we get moving. First up, our roundtable talk where we'll discuss the main topic for this week, followed by some Disney trivia ranging from Disney history to a random Disney character of the day. Well, that's just about it. Everybody ready? Let's get this show on the road.
Hey everyone, I'm Mike, and she's Sophie.
And she's Brenda.
Hi everyone.
And we're all on the road with Mickey. This is Season 2, Episode 7 for February 15th, 2021. And our feature topic this week is our favorite Disney memories. I think this is something that we're all going to really enjoy. And I think it's going to make you think about your Disney trips. And I think you're going to really enjoy remembering those perfect memories that you've got. So we're really looking forward to it. But before we get started on the feature topic, we want to talk about some cheddar from the big cheese. We've got several things we want to talk about. And I'll go ahead and start us off. Starting in April until around sometime in the fall, they haven't announced a date for when it'd be done. But anyway, the Disney's Contemporary Resort is going to be going through a refurbishment on some of the guest rooms. It's primarily located in the main tower, and it should not affect most of the resort areas and amenities for guests to enjoy. So the whole resort is not closing down. A lot of the restaurants and so forth are still going to be open. From what I understand, the garden rooms and so forth are still be available and so forth, and even most of the tower rooms. But some of those tower rooms will not be available, and so it might make availability a little bit harder to find. But anyway, I think it's all in gear or in line to get it ready for the 50th anniversary. So
Yeah.
and I heard a rumor that some of the rooms are going to be themed after the Incredibles,
Awesome.
but I don't know for fact. So it'd be interesting to see when pictures start coming out how they look, you know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that would be interesting to see as well because, well, not only is The Incredibles an awesome movie to watch, but it actually is based in the 1950s. So if they're theming some of those rooms for the 50th anniversary, that's just a little detail that I think is a happy coincidence.
Exactly. All right, so let's see what happens with that.
Yep, and then moving on, we have a lovely addition to the Disney family. And a few months back, there was a new arrival over at Fort Wilderness. Well, today another new arrival has come. Patches is a new Shetland pony, and he is currently at the Tri-Circle D Ranch at Fort Wilderness. And he is this adorable little colt, and you can see him on the Instagram post that we are putting in the show notes. It is by Dr. Mark, and it says that he and his mom, Obi, will start spending some more time near the guests at the ranch as they continue to get more comfortable. So you want to keep your eyes peeled on your next visit if you can spot them.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right.
Well,
Well,
over at Epcot, the Taste of Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival is going to be on a good long run this year. It's running from March 3rd through July 5th, and more details have come out. There's going to be almost 100 Disney topiaries there, 30 million blooms, and 24 different other topiaries around the park. So it's going to be a lot to see. I hope they're
Wow.
still having the fairy gardens because I love those in the butterfly garden.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
So
Brenda,
beautiful there.
Sophie and I and Cindy, we've never been to the flower and garden.
It's so pretty. So pretty.
I hope we can make it there one time,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So,
Got to plan on it.
also, yep,
Well, I mean, if it's going to be going through July 5th,
maybe we
maybe you
can.
guys can come down for my birthday.
That sounds
Maybe.
like a great plan.
We'll see.
Yep.
Um, and also over at Epcot, they used to have the statues. They were called the Leva Legacy sculptures. I to me they look like monoliths. We've been hearing all this talk about monoliths, but anyway, um, but they've been removed for some months, and I don't even remember exactly when they took them out. But what they have done at Disney is they have replaced them with a series of Leva Legacy wall panels. So if you did this, there are instructions on where your image can be found. There are over 200 panels of various colors, and it's really cool. And it's all right around the entrance to Epcot, and it's just really neat looking. I saw an Instagram post about it, and the panels are just really neat, and it just kind of circles around the main entrance as you're walking up towards Spaceship Earth. Um, so it's just really neat. And I don't know if you can still do a Leva Legacy panel or a Leva Legacy, but if you can, it'll probably then end up on these panels, somewhere on the panels. So might be worth checking into.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm,
It's a really nice area to walk through too.
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
Well, I
But
have
I
a
can
bit of
see.
sad news, and that is that Disney legend Charles Boyer passed away on February 8th at his home in Ontario, California. Charles Boyer was the first full-time artist at Disneyland,
Mm-hmm.
and he did some really special things, a couple of which I have. And so I know that the podcast listeners won't be able to see them, but the YouTube followers will be able to see them. So one of them is the self-portrait of Mickey Mouse.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Oh,
pull it
wow.
back
Oh,
just a little
you're
bit.
just a little bit. There we go.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yep,
that
you're
one.
good.
And
Mm-hmm.
then um, I know most people don't know that my father was a fire captain in Galveston for 35 years, and now my oldest son is following in his footsteps, and he's a firefighter in Galveston. But this one has always been a special one for me, Mickey and the Firefighter,
Right.
which Charles Boyer also did. I have a really big one, but you probably can't see it. So
Mm-mm.
these are special treasured memories, and he did a lot of other things, but those two are really near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, I didn't know about your dad. So that's really
Yeah,
cool, especially with your son following in the footsteps.
yeah.
But I love the self-portrait where he's looking in the mirror and his painting is Walt Disney. I'm like that
I
just
love
like
that.
hits you.
It
That just hits you
is.
everywhere, doesn't it?
Yes, it touches your
Yeah.
heart, tugs at your heartstrings for sure.
Yeah. So all of our prayers and thoughts go out to his family and friends,
Yeah,
and we
Mm-hmm.
thank them for all that he was able to give to us.
that's for sure.
Yeah. And that wraps up our cheddar from the big cheese. Always in the show notes, you can see the different ways that you can connect with us. The most prevalent way that people seem to have gravitated towards is our On the Road with Mickey Facebook group. And there's also a page. But all those links and so forth will be in the show notes. So if you want to reach out to us, go for it. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And now, our feature topic, our favorite Disney memories. And I was thinking maybe 5 memories, maybe
Yeah,
less if we start talking forever and it turns into like a 6-hour show. I don't
I
know. But I don't know. Brenda, are you gonna go first? Sophie, you gonna go first? What's it gonna be, ladies? You guys gotta fight it out. So
I would say because this is Miss Brenda's first official episode as an official member of our crew, I say that she goes first.
There you go.
Oh, thank you, Sophie. You're so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
You are so sweet. Well, this topic's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And researching everything. And between us all, we have so many memories. We could do this show every week forever. Still have a lot of memories. So this is a great topic. I really appreciate this. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I have great memories from Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, you know, just so many different things. But this, all 5 of my favorites for this episode ended up being Walt Disney World memories. So we're
Okay.
going to go down memory lane,
I can't
starting
wait.
with the first visit. My first visit ever was in 1979, and I was 15 years old. And at
Whoa.
that time, there was only Magic Kingdom
Mhm.
and the Polynesian Village Resort and the Contemporary. It
Mhm.
was my first time ever to fly. And we flew in and took a taxi to the Contemporary. And when we pulled in the parking lot and I saw that awesome structure with the monorail running in and out, I was just mesmerized. It was such a awesome sight. I mean, it was just unreal. I'd never
Don't
seen
start
anything like
crying. I'll
I
start
know,
crying.
I know. But it was awesome. The Magic Kingdom was great. My sister and I were with my mom and my stepdad, and my sister and I went to Magic Kingdom. We hung out by the pool. We did rope drop and ran straight to Space Mountain. I mean, full on ran to Space Mountain in the mornings. And we spent all the afternoons at River Country, which was fantastic. We loved River
Oh,
Country.
wow. Isn't
So,
isn't River
yeah,
Country that old water park
it
that
is.
is
It's
Yes.
closed
unfortunately
now.
closed down?
It did close down, but
Wow.
we just had so much fun over there. It was so much fun. And then at night, we got to hang out inside the Contemporary, and they had, restaurants and bars, and we got to kind of hang out like we were adults, even though I was 15 and she was 18 by then, so she was an adult. But yeah, I have a couple of pictures. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, I can
Ooh.
see
These are
parts.
me.
Yeah.
These are me at the
Okay.
Magic Kingdom when I was 15. And yeah, we had a great time. And that's when I got mouse snapped and Disney stole my heart. And there were many, many more visits after that.
Yep.
So, but that's
Oh,
the first
wow.
memory, the first one I'm sharing anyway today.
All
So
right.
the second one
I was
is,
gonna say, do we wanna
oh,
round table it?
yeah, let's do that. That
Yeah.
sounds
Okay.
like a great plan. Yes.
Okay, Sophie, what's your first memory? Or
Well,
your
First favorite.
the favorite memory that you want to share?
yeah. Keep in mind that the first time I went to Disney World, I was like 4, so you can't expect me to remember all the way back then. The only thing I really remember from that was that Mima came with us, I believe.
That was when you were 4. That's when we stayed with Aunt Leanne.
Oh, that's right, at the timeshare.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I didn't remember that one. I remember my first memory being when Mima came to the parks with us.
And that was 2006 when you were 5.
Yes,
Oh my
and that
goodness.
is unfortunately that's about all I remember from that memory, so I'm gonna go completely out of chronological order,
That's fine.
and I'm going to talk about my Sweet 16, which happened over at Disneyland instead of Disney World.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
my parents were not there for that. They stayed in North Carolina. They got only one plane ticket and it went to me.
Yep.
And so I spent my Sweet 16 with Jagan and Aunt Sheila and Uncle Randy, and they took me to Disneyland on June 19th, and we ate at this place in Adventureland. I don't remember what it was called, but they actually, because there's a 3-hour time difference between my birth moment in North Carolina and in California, I was born 10:47 p.m. in North Carolina, so my birthday really occurred at 7:47 p.m. in California. And I
Yeah.
Mhm.
remember they were going to do an Instagram post, and they were taking it, and it had a timestamp on it, and then they took it right as the clock was striking, and it ended up being 7:48 instead.
Oh well.
Yeah,
That's still creative though and clever.
it
Yes.
is very creative and clever, and I really enjoyed it either way. And then I remember we went out of Adventureland and Disneyland, and we actually went over to California Adventure, and the first thing the first attraction that I experienced as a 16-year-old was World of Color, which is my favorite attraction ever. It is so beautiful. It's why I was so sad that I wouldn't be able to get to see Rivers of Light and Animal Kingdom, because that's supposed to be a lot like World of Color. And it was just amazing. It
Yeah.
It
was
is
amazing,
amazing.
and I got really, really wet from all the mist that was spraying over the crowd.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful show.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great memory, Sophie.
Yeah. Great memory.
That's a great memory. So for me, I am going all over the place, but um the memory I want to share first is 2010. And that is where my background picture, that's when I took that picture, was in
Oh, sweet.
2010. And it was Extra Magic Hours. And that was the trip where Cindy and I invited my niece Stephanie to join us. Um, and we surprised Sophie, and we went for Sophie's birthday. And
Awesome.
and I will never forget. It's like 9 o'clock at night, the night before we're leaving, and I knew Steph was on her way, and I knew she was going to ring the doorbell. And I told Sophie, "Go." The doorbell rings. I'm like, "Sophie, go ring the doorbell." And I mean, go answer the door. And she did, and she's like, "Stephanie, what are you doing here?" And Stephanie was like, "I thought I'd go to Disney with you."
Awesome.
And it was so cool. And like, we had so much fun. And that was Sophie's first time doing Extra Magic Hours for the evening. And what happened was she and Stephanie decided they were going to go ride Dumbo, and Cindy and I were going to go ride the carousel. And so we were in line for the carousel, and they had gone on to Dumbo. And that's when I saw Mickey and Minnie, who just happened to show up at Dumbo and surprise some guests and said,
Awesome.
"Hey, you want to ride? We're riding with you."
Oh,
And
that's
so it
fantastic.
was so cool. And I took
Mm-hmm.
that picture as they're riding, and
Oh,
when they got off, when the ride was over and it ended, Mickey got off and he went back to Minnie and he held out his hand to help her off of her
of
Dumbo
course
ride.
he did. He's
Oh.
such a gentleman.
It was so cool. It was so
So
cool. That was
sweet.
a whole lot of memory on that trip because we had so much fun, and that started like what, Sophie, 5 or 6 in a row where Stephanie like honed in on us and went with us on our trips.
That's
She went with
awesome.
Yep.
us for several years in a row. It was so cool.
Oh,
And
That
yeah.
is
actually, that
awesome.
wasn't 2010. I think that was 2011. But anyway, no, it was 2010. That was 2010. I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's great.
so that's my first memory. It was so much fun. It
That
was
is
Yep.
awesome.
so.
Totally awesome.
So what do you got, Brenda?
Well, my next one is I'm also doing chronological order. So the first one was 1979. The next one is 2004. So I'm going backwards from you though. In 2004, actually in 2003, my stepdad passed away. And he was the one that introduced my mom to Disney World, who then, of course, introduced us to Disney World. And so um, after he passed away, my mom paid for all of us to go
Wow.
on a trip together, kind of in honor of him, but
Uh-huh.
also just for us to be together. So on that particular trip was my mom, my husband and I, and our 3 kids, and my son's friend Martin, who was a family friend. And we stayed at the Animal Kingdom Lodge for our second time, which we
Okay.
love. We love the Animal Kingdom Lodge. We were in Savannah View rooms, and
Mm.
I had put the trip together because back then I wasn't an agent. I just did it, for family and our family and friends and things like that. So
Right.
we went to the Contemporary. I think we had dinner at Chef Mickey's, and when we left there, we went to the big gift shop there on the fourth
Uh-huh.
floor. And I'm a snow globe collector,
Okay.
and there were a lot of snow globes there. And my mom told me to pick any snow globe that I wanted,
Oh, wow.
and she wanted to buy it for me as a gift for putting the trip together. And this is it. It's still my favorite snow globe of all time. And it is the wedding
Oh,
snow globe. I don't know if you can see it.
we can
We
see
can
it.
see it, just don't move at all.
Yeah.
It has
Oh
all
my
of the
gosh.
princes and princesses, and it sings and
Nice.
they dance.
Wow, that is
Oh,
so cool,
wow.
Brenda.
It is my favorite
It's
souvenir.
big
We should do a
too.
show on Disney collections one time because
Okay.
We
I know
should.
we all have them, but
Yep.
that was I've every time I look at it, I remember that trip, and it is just such a wonderful, beautiful remembrance. So
That is so cool.
that's
That
it
is
for my second
wonderful.
memory.
Okay.
That's amazing.
That
Thank
is
you.
amazing. And you know what?
Beautiful.
We will do a show on Disney collections.
Yeah.
And you know what we'll do? We'll invite my friend Leon to the show.
Oh my gosh, that would be awesome.
Lee lives in
Lelandia, huh?
Can. Yep, Disneylandia. And he's been on the show once before, and that would be right up his
That would be
alley.
wonderful.
So
Yes.
Mhm.
I'll say, Lee, you gotta join us.
That's great. I'd
I need
love
some more
that.
testosterone, buddy. Come on, save me.
That's great. That's great.
Anyway, that'll be down the road, everybody.
Yeah.
Yep. A little
So
bit down the road.
what's
Well,
your second one, Sophie?
now I'm kind of piggybacking off of Daddy's memory about how he surprised me by taking Stephanie along with us for that trip. And I'm going to be talking about this one time I remember I have no idea which year it was. I don't know how old I was. I know I was young enough that I was still losing some of my baby teeth.
Okay.
And I just remember the context of the story is that after we got back from the last trip to Disney that we took, I said, I don't want you guys to play Disney music in this car unless you are taking me back to Disney World. So, of course, I busied myself and entertained myself to listening to other playlists of music that my dad had in the car at the time. Probably the Backyardigans, Dora the Explorer, all that stuff. And
Hmm.
so I remember my dad was like, Sophie, come on, let's get in the car. And obviously they had packed all my stuff and all that
Oh my
beforehand without me
gosh.
knowing. And I was like, okay, can we listen to Dora the Explorer or something? And then they were like, okay, sure. And then I was like, okay, can we listen to the Backyardigans now? And they were like, okay, but next we have something that we want to listen to. And then after that was done, I was like, okay, what are we listening to? I was preparing to zone out and do my own thing because I didn't listen to their adult music. And then they put on the Disney music, and I was like, wait, we're going to Disney World? And they were recording, and you
Uh-huh.
can find that video on my dad's YouTube page.
Yep.
And even
Oh,
now, when I look at it, I wince a little bit because the sound quality was terrible, but it was still extremely funny.
So to
that's awesome.
clarify a little bit, that was a great surprise. And what happened was, by the way, Sophie, it was 2009. You were 8 years old, and we were gonna go for your birthday, and
Okay.
then the recession hit,
Oh.
and we weren't sure about finances because of that. So we canceled it, and we looked at doing something different, and we found out that we were looking at maybe going to Hershey Park or something. and we found out that it would be almost as much as going to Disney.
For sure.
So we were like, "To heck with that! We're going to Disney," and we booked it for August. And it was so funny because you were right. You were very adamant. You were so disappointed at that trip being canceled that you were like, "I don't want to hear any Mickey Mouse music." And we had a soundtrack. And it was a playlist on our iPhone, on our iPod, and it was just called the Mickey Mouse
Oh God, I love
music
it.
or something like that. and and Sophie was like, "I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it until we're going." And so she was at dance. Cindy took her to dance, and where she did ballet. And while she was at dance, I was loading the car, and that's when she got home. And I'm like, "Come on, let's go for a ride." And that's when we were leaving.
That's awesome. What a great memory. You have some fantastic parents, Sophie.
I
And it
know
was
I
really
do.
cool. It was really cool because on that YouTube, she starts telling everybody where she's going and all that, and she even has a shout out to our friends in Edmonton
Oh,
who we
awesome.
met in line for Tower of Terror when they got married and they were there for their honeymoon. And so Sophie even has a shout out to Brianne and Tyler.
Sweet. Sweet.
It
Yep.
was so cool. It was so cool.
That's awesome.
But anyway, so that was Sophie's memory. And that probably would have been one of mine too, but I have a bunch of other ones too.
Of
So
course.
I don't think I'll run out. you know,
Well, what is it? What is your next one, Mike?
I'm going to go to 2013. And this is the trip we took to Disneyland. Actually, it's a two-part trip. We went to Disneyland, and we were DVC members, and we stayed at the Grand Californian Hotel, and we checked in the day after Sophie's birthday. And that was when we met Sheila and Randy and Jagan. And we get there for our room, and by the way, this was like, so this would have been June. So I would have been like 4 months into being a travel agent.
Awesome.
So I booked obviously the room through DVC, but I bought tickets through DTA
Yeah.
for our tickets we needed. But anyway, we get there, and obviously we were there early and our room wasn't ready yet and everything like that, which was not a problem. But we just told them, we'd never been here before. We got a rental car. We're going to go over to Target, grab a few things for breakfasts and stuff like that. And they said, well, we'll text you when the room's ready. So we're at Target, and I get the text about the room being ready. I'm like, wow, that was quick. And we finish up and we get back, and they give us our key to the world card and tell us where our room is. And we had a deluxe studio, and the balcony looked over Paradise Pier.
Awesome.
And
Awesome view.
the bed, and I don't know why they did this with the bed, but the bed had roses and rose petals, like Cindy and I were on our honeymoon or something.
And the towels
And
were shaped
and
like
the towel was
swans.
shaped like swans with a heart. And I'm like, did they think we were like on a honeymoon with a 12-year-old here? But I am telling you, that room was phenomenal. That room, we could see from Mickey's Fun Wheel over to the Goofy Flight School.
That's awesome.
And when we would get back to our room at night, we couldn't see all of World of Color, but we could see a little bit of it. But we would open our door and we'd get that beautiful breeze coming in, and we would hear the music after the park closes, because they still play the music, and that music would almost put us to sleep just listening. And Sophie would sleep on the pull-out couch. And I mean, that was like the best room like ever for our first trip to Disney.
Yay, magical.
Disneyland.
And
Yeah.
Magical.
part of what I did is I surprised the girls with mani pedis
Oh, nice.
at the spa. What was it? Mandira Spa?
Mandira Spa,
I
yeah.
don't think it's there anymore, but anyway, so I surprised them with that. And then we had a couple dining reservations, and that's when we went to Dodger Stadium that trip because Cindy's a huge Dodgers fan,
Ah,
and
nice.
I scored us tickets, um, and we went and we got tickets for like $10 a pop. They were up at the top by where the big Dodger sign is on the wall. And when we got there, we're like, we've never been here before. Can you point us to make sure we're going the right way? And they're like, really? You never been here before? Where are you from? And so we told them we're from Raleigh, North Carolina. Well, we're sitting there in our seats, just waiting for the game to start. And all of a sudden, this guy comes up and taps us on the shoulder from the crew. And he goes, I need you to come with us. And they took us downstairs, gave us little special mementos for it being our first trip to Dodger
Awesome.
Stadium. And then they put us over on the third baseline about 10 rows up from the dugout.
Wow, that's
It
fantastic.
was so cool.
What
And
a
I'm like,
magical
we could
trip.
look out and we could see Tommy Lasorda.
That's awesome.
It was so cool. So that is like a whole bunch. There was a whole bunch of Disney memories,
Yeah.
not the least of which was meeting Randy and Sheila and Jagan, and we all hit it off right immediately. So
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. What a magical trip.
it was an awesome trip.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Really,
I
really.
agree a lot.
So that's my
Awesome.
second memory.
Awesome. That was a great trip. That sounds awesome.
So what's your next memory, Brenda?
Well, I'm moving on down the chronological line, and now I'm at 2005. My first time ever to see Osborne Family Spectacle of Dancing Lights. Oh
Oh,
my
wow.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We caravaned this trip. We went on 2 trips with our best friends, the Schultzes. We caravaned, this was the first one. Caravan there. We were, doing normal stuff. We were in Hollywood Studios walking around, and the sun was down, and we were just walking around talking and laughing, and we walked around the corner at the streets of New York, and I just stopped, and my jaw hit the ground, and I was completely speechless. I was just mesmerized. I had never seen anything like it ever. Millions and millions of twinkling lights, and the music's going, and it's snowing, and we're in the middle of this street with thousands of other people who love Disney too. It was just unbelievable. Just
Mhm.
unbelievable. I've never seen something so beautiful. It took my breath away.
Yeah.
So we went to the Ryder Stop, got hot cocos, and that became a tradition for us every single year until Osborne ended in January of 2016. We go to the Ryder Stop and get coffee and hot cocoa, and we'd go out to Osborne every year after that. It was just the most magical thing I'd ever seen. It's by far the greatest holiday event ever at Disney, in my opinion. Now, I do have to make a side note that in 2019, my second favorite holiday memory is seeing Neil Patrick Harris narrating at the candlelight processional. I mean, he's awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, Osborne was just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It was so wonderful. I miss it so much.
Wow.
Just
Well,
wonderful, wonderful
so
celebration.
Sophie and I and Cindy, after our trip in November, um, when we were leaving on the 27th, which was Black Friday, and we planned on hanging around a couple extra days, and I got us tickets to go see the Night of a Million Lights at Give Kids
Yes,
the World.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And um and the lights were donated, I believe, by Disney.
They
There
were.
was something that Disney was involved in as far as the setup and everything like that. And there were a couple conflicting stories, but one of the stories was that these were the lights from the Osborne family lights.
It may be
And
true. And I
and
also
I
know a
mean
lot of
those
Disney
photos,
personnel volunteered their time to put those lights up
yeah,
at Give Kids the World.
yeah. And those
Mm-hmm.
lights were phenomenal. Phenomenal.
They
Unbelievable.
were.
And dancing to the music, and Barbara
Uh-huh.
Streisand singing. And I mean, it's just, oh my gosh, what
Yeah.
a beautiful sight. It was unbelievable.
It was.
Great. Now,
We never saw the Osborne lights at Hollywood Studios. So
Gorgeous.
we'll hold on to the memory we've got from Give Kids the World,
There you go.
and it's on YouTube. So if you find that episode and scroll to the very end, you'll see a little slideshow of the pictures that I took. It's like 100 different
Wonderful.
pictures. So have at it. Go look for it,
Wonderful.
people.
Go look for it. Go look for it.
So
great.
good
Now,
good memory.
now
Yay,
I'm
thank
on a
you.
Christmas craze, you guys. You
All
got me
right.
back. You got me
Yay.
back into December. I'm gonna go sing some holiday songs once we get off this call.
Yay. Sounds good to me.
Well,
What is your
speaking of
next awesome memory,
holidays,
Sophie?
my next awesome memory, speaking of the holidays, I've never been during the Christmas season. I've seen the castle lit up for the Christmas season, but I've never been to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. I
Right.
have, however, been to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, and
Fun.
that was an awesome thing to do.
Yeah.
And I remember when I found out I was going, we were we were going to look at my school, Full Sail. We were going to see if we were going to take a tour and see if it would be a good fit for me.
Hmm.
And while we were there, my dad told my Aunt Sheila and Uncle Randy and Jagan we're probably going to spend a few days at the park for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And they insisted on coming, of course. And so when I found out they were coming, I was like, that's it. I am dressing up for Halloween this year. I got some white knee socks, I got some bunny ears, and I got all the rest of it from my closet. I borrowed my dad's pocket watch, which is golden and beautiful, but
And it's
doesn't
got
work.
Mickey conductor Mickey on it.
Oh,
Yep.
awesome.
I borrowed all of that stuff, and I was going to be the White Rabbit. And that sparked Jagan to be
Hmm.
Alice from Alice in Wonderland, and her mom to be the Queen of Hearts. They made her dad into the Mad Hatter, and they made my parents into Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Yeah.
Yep. And
And
we were so stinking cool.
Y'all were so cute, and those pictures are to die for.
oh yeah, and I remember
Oh,
we
that's
were
awesome.
watching one of the parades at the Halloween party, and my Uncle Randy, dressed as the Mad Hatter, he had a prosthetic nose that looked like the Mad Hatter. And so
Oh,
when the
wow.
guy in the parade saw him with his nose, after the parade had gone through, a cast member went and told him, the Mad Hatter likes your costume.
That's great. That is
It
great.
was
Yeah.
awesome. They put a lot of time and energy into those costumes.
They were
Meanwhile,
so cute.
and Sophie had just about everything she needed.
Hmm.
And as far as Cindy and I, we bought like cheap shorts, like gym shorts, like you would wear in ninth grade, and then I had a yellow shirt already, and so we bought one more that was for Cindy, and we bought some felt, and she made our bow ties, and we bought our hats and whatnot, and made the little things that says Tweedledee and Tweedledum at the top on for the hat, and probably all told we were like $20 for our costumes.
And they
It
looked
was
awesome.
it was awesome, and Cindy
Yeah.
did such a good job on everything.
Hmm.
But that was an awesome memory. And
It
Sheila
was.
and Randy and Jacob did not insist on coming. I invited them to come because we
Oh.
split the room. We stayed at the cabins, so
Cool.
that made it easy.
Well,
Yeah,
to be fair, insisting to come, inviting to come, they're the same thing with us.
Okay, but anyway, but yeah, that was a great time, and
that
I
is
mean,
awesome.
I had been the year before with some pixies, and I was like, you know what? Next time we get an opportunity, I am bringing my girls, and we're gonna see this, and I will not mind seeing it again. And like Sophie said, I cannot wait until the time I'm able to do the very Merry Christmas party too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I remember when you went on that trip and you got to go to the not
And
so scary Halloween party.
you were
I was
jealous.
so mad. I was so mad I didn't get to go. I was like, "Are you sure you can't just sneak me in your suitcase?"
So sorry, Sophie. It is what it is.
Yeah,
Yep.
I know. Well, luckily for me, they made it a little bit better by keeping you in that conference room for most of the day.
Yes,
That's
because
true.
I
Yeah.
was there to work.
Yes, we
Yes.
And
actually do
so,
work when we go on the conferences. We
yep,
actually do work.
yep. And it was like, you know what? I told Lisa, I'm like, hey, I am here for the fam. And if we are working, then we're working as long as you tell me we're working until you say you're dismissed, and then I'm dismissed.
Yep.
So anyway,
You're such a good employee.
Mhm.
whatever. So taking us back to 2013 again, I realized I didn't finish my story, but it probably made sense to make it number 2 and number 3. So my third memory in 2013, I had just told us how we stayed at the Grand Californian. Well, and I had been a Pixie agent since February. Well, I learned real quick that we were having a Pixie get together in July. So in June of 2013, we were at Disneyland. And in
Hmm.
July of 2013, we were at Disney World and we stayed at the Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. And that was when Cindy and I had been there with Sophie a few trips back. We had walked in to go eat at 1900 Park Fair, which we realized is not the dinner place we like because of the stepsisters and stepmom. but
Yeah.
but we might try it again maybe one time for Alice in Wonderland. But anyway, when we were there, Cindy and I were like, we need to stay here for our 25th anniversary. Well, we stayed there for just before our 13th anniversary. So this guy's beat that by 12
That's
years. Thank
right.
you very much.
You are on your game.
And that was also the trip where you and I and Butch and Cindy and Sophie, and we ate at Beer Garden.
We sure did.
Oh.
That was a great memory. You
And
dancing with Sophie.
and
Oh,
Sophie
it
and
was
I
so
went down
sweet.
on the dance floor and we danced.
I
And
loved it.
Mhm.
and it was so cool. And I loved it too. I loved it too.
It
And
was
Cindy
so
took
sweet.
pictures. It
Yeah,
was so cool. I'm like, that was awesome. And that was so neat that they had the musicians doing that and that they did all that. That was so cool.
it was.
Yeah, it was.
So that was, I mean, there were so many fun things we did. We had the prop shop breakfast.
Hmm.
They Pixie set up a dessert party over in
Hmm.
Italy before
I remember
Illuminations,
that part.
Yeah.
and we just had so much fun. And it was just like, we were able to just relax, put our ears down, and just be not be travel agents, but be fans of Disney, and just
Mhm.
enjoy it and be
Yeah.
there with our families and get to know other agents. It was just awesome. I can't wait. We need to do that again.
We do
Yeah.
need to do that again. Lisa, if you're listening, hello. We need to
Hello.
do that again.
So anyway,
That's
so
great.
that is one of my memories that I really
That is
enjoyed.
great.
So
Mhm.
now we're getting into page 2 for Brenda.
Yeah, we're on number 4 for me, right?
Yep.
Yep, number 4.
So I'm going to take you back a couple of years from then, from 2013, and we're going to pop into 2011,
Okay.
which was the first time I ever met Mike and Cindy and Sophie and Stephanie. And this was the 40th anniversary
Yep.
of Walt Disney World. And here's a postcard I have from that. You can
Yep.
see it.
Oh, wow.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
And I went with my BFF Susan,
Mm-hmm.
and we stayed at the Port Orleans. And this, like I said, it was our first time to meet you guys
Yep.
and celebrate 40 years of Walt's dream that Roy brought to life. It was so wonderful. And I have a picture.
Mhm.
Can you see the picture?
Oh,
I do see the picture.
You see a
I
little
do.
Sophie? You
Uh-huh.
see a little Sophie and a Cindy and a Mike and me, and we had there were pixies that were there.
Yeah.
Oh
We had
goodness. I
time
hope
too. We
that's
had
not the
Bob and
picture.
Chris and Lisa and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of other people. We were there in Magic Kingdom, right
Yep.
by the ice cream parlor,
Yep. Right by the parlor restaurant.
right by the ice cream parlor, and we snapped our picture. That was my first time to meet you guys in person. And do you remember, Sophie, what you wanted to do with me so badly on that trip? You were
I
so little.
I
That
do
was
not
she was
remember.
10.
You wanted us to ride Maelstrom together. And while we were in line, you pointed out the painting with the Viking with the ears on, and I had never noticed that one of the Vikings had ears on before.
I do remember that before,
That was
and
the hidden Mickey of
That's
Maelstrom. Yep.
right. That's right.
I finally found the hidden Mickey in Spaceship Earth. I finally found it. It took me 19 years, but I found it.
Yep.
Well, we'll have to have a hidden Mickey episode.
I
Yeah.
think we already have, but we
We
should
might
do
have,
another one.
but we'll
We
Yeah,
look.
have, I
We have
remember.
had one, yeah, but we can always update it.
yeah.
We
But that's it for
can.
my
But
40th
I
the
remember
40th
that
anniversary.
memory.
It was a great
Oh,
trip.
that
That
was
was a lot of fun.
and
Mm,
to piggyback on that, we pulled Sophie out of school at lunchtime so she wouldn't be absent.
That's
And
a great
we get
idea.
to the Cindy went in. We were at the Stow Elementary where she went to elementary school, and we had Stephanie with us. And Cindy went in to get her, and she came out with her, and I was wearing my Mickey Safari hat. And
Uh-oh.
Sophie said, "Daddy, are we going to Disney?" And I said, "We are if you get in the car."
I don't think I've ever gotten in the car so fast.
Yeah.
And it
Oh,
was
that
so
was
much
such a
fun.
fun trip. I remember how she was so enamored with Snow White there in Germany. Oh, God, that was so great seeing her meet Snow White on that trip. That was a really great trip.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
one last little bit, and then I'm gonna let Sophie do hers. This isn't one of my memories, just saying. Not
Just saying.
but one of the things when we were checking out, we stayed at Pop. And when we were checking out on the Sunday after, so October 2nd, it was the Sunday after the 50th,
Hmm.
I
The
mean the
40th.
40th. Um, we were walking to our car and we saw this little smart car. It was yellow and it was from Michigan and it had all this Haunted Mansion decal work on it.
Oh, cool.
It
Whoa.
was so cool, and we stopped to look at it, and we were just staring at it because it was like it had been professionally done. It
That
was
is awesome.
so cool. And while we were staring at this car, this guy comes out, and he's like, "Can I help you?" And we're like, "This car is so neat." And he's like, "Well, that's my car." And he unlocked it. He had driven to Florida with his wife from Michigan to go to the Halloween party, and he had made costume. He had made one of the hitchhiking ghosts,
Oh my gosh, how
Wait,
the
cool
head,
is that?
the head for the hitchhiking ghost.
That's awesome.
And that's what he wore to the Halloween party. And I am telling you, I got a picture. I can post it in the show notes.
Cool.
Because that head was so well done, just with like paper mache and whatnot, but it looked so cool.
That's
I
neat.
even wrote a post about him and talked and interviewed him on My Dreams of Disney.
That's
It was
oh
cool. That's
wow.
cool, Mike.
so
I love
yeah.
it.
So we're
That
piggybacking on
is
our memory.
Disney community.
awesome.
Gotta
Yep.
love them. Gotta love them for sure.
Yep.
And I'm glad you told me about that because I had completely forgotten about it.
Yeah. It was so neat.
Hmm.
All right, Sophie, your turn.
Well, I'm trying to decide because I have three left, but I can only go with two.
Okay.
So, hmm, I think I know which one I'm going to talk about, and I'm saving the best for last.
Oh, awesome.
For it.
So this is from a very recent trip. I was considering talking about one from a very old trip back when my parents had first bought their DVC membership. And I decided against that one because I wasn't really part of that one that much because I was busy doing little kid things while they were handling adult stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is from the July trip when my dad surprised me with a BB unit for my birthday.
Ooh.
Yes, we did. It wasn't just me. It was you. It was Mommy and I. So,
Okay, that's true. However, it said your name on it from what I remember. It was your name.
yeah. But anyway, it was from
Yeah.
both of us.
And this was the first time that we had gone to Galaxy's Edge. It was the first time we were going to Hollywood Studios for that trip, and this was in July of 2020, so it's very recent.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing we did was we went straight back to Galaxy's Edge, and Daddy, I am so glad you made me watch Star Wars in the 8th grade because I don't know what I would have done with myself otherwise. That it was amazing.
Yeah.
And of course, there was only one person that could go in with me to make my droid.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember picking the Empire personality, the First Order personality chip from my droid, and Daddy was so disappointed.
I'm like, what happened to the rebel?
Oh.
She got replaced with someone who wants political stability. That's what happened.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's
FA9
okay.
is still a great droid.
Yes, he is. And FA9 is what I named him. And for those of you who do not know, the reason I named him FA9 was because I was thinking to myself and I wanted the name to be special. So I decided, he's my birthday present. I'm going to name him after my birthday. And so I found F is the 6th letter of the alphabet, A is the first, and my birthday is June 19th, so 619
Become,
FA9.
becomes FA9.
Very good.
That is so Sophie,
Smart
Brenda.
cookie, isn't
That
she?
is so Sophie.
Smart cookie.
At first I was going to name him BB9 because that's what the Empire version of BB-8 is, and I like BB-9. But I decided I wanted to be original since my droid was original because my droid is purple and white.
Yep.
So
Cool.
he needed an original name.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect name.
Hmm. It was great. And I love that droid to death. I am absolutely over the moon for him.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, good.
That's a great memory,
I'm
Sophie.
glad that you still like that droid because he wasn't cheap.
I know
That's
he
true.
wasn't. And he still hasn't gone through his batteries all the way. He is doing very well when it comes to battery usage.
Good. Good.
That's really good to know. For
All
anyone
right.
out there who's had a droid built, you'll know.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So my fourth memory, I'm gonna take us to 2011. Okay. And the reason I've taken us to 2011 is because, like Sophie mentioned, in 2010 was when we bought our DVC membership. And you know what? If Steph hadn't been with us, we probably wouldn't have done the tour to get the free fast passes and the free ice cream or whatever it was.
Ah.
Free ice cream.
And
It was
then
free ice cream.
we wouldn't have bought DVC. But we bought DVC because we wanted to be able to have accommodations for family and friends that wanted to join us. And so when we bought at Grand Californian because they had a special promotion. They were trying to finish up close of the sales for all the sales for Grand California. So we got double points for the first year. And so in 2011, we made our first reservation under DVC and we stayed at Bay Lake Tower. And
Mm-hmm.
we brought Cindy's brother Otis and his wife Nancy and their daughter Anna Jane. And we brought Nancy's mom,
Madel.
Sherry, and
Mm-hmm.
no, Madeline Lewis wasn't on that trip. And
Oh.
we brought Stephanie and her boyfriend at the time. And
Mm-hmm.
so with the three of us and the four, then the seven, we had nine of us in a 2-bedroom at Bay Lake Tower. It was Lakeview. And
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
it was so much fun because we were able to do, we were able to just walk over to the Magic Kingdom when we wanted to go to the Magic Kingdom. We would take the bus, everything, but we had all the space right there. And so we were all in one room, and the girls did they did Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique um as part of that trip, and we
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
we ate as a family. We ate at 50's Primetime Cafe at Hollywood Studios, and I remember when we were seated, there were nine of us, but Ma, our waitress, put down 8 pieces of silverware, eight settings, and so I didn't have one. So I said, "I'm sorry, Ma, but I think we're missing one." And all of a sudden, she goes, "Oh my God, we've got a whiner!"
Uh-oh.
And she starts going off about me, like, "Hey." And I'm like, "I'm sorry." And then she gave me one.
Yeah.
And then later on, um, I something happened. I don't know. And Sherry said something to Ma and said, "Did you see what he just did?" And all of a sudden, Sherry was a tattletale, and
Oh.
she starts singing the tattletale song. And what's really funny though is that in real life, Sherry and Ma, our waitress, grew up like 5 miles from each other
Oh,
in New
wow. That
Jersey.
is
And so
hilarious.
it was like all of a sudden they were best friends. And so
That is
Mm-hmm.
hilarious.
the last thing that happened, that was a great memory from that restaurant experience was Nancy did not finish her green beans,
Oh.
and Ma took the green beans and she went back into the back and she put whipped cream on them,
Oh,
and
good.
and, and all sorts of like the little glittery candy,
Yeah, the sprinkles and
the
stuff.
sprinkles, and put it on and brought it back to her for her to eat before she
Oh,
could eat it.
yuck.
It was disgusting.
Oh,
Like, I touched that
yuck.
crap.
No,
Oh,
not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
and don't forget our cousins from the next table over. They were
Yeah,
from North Carolina as well.
Oh,
And
funny.
so when the wait staff found out, Ma was like, "Oh, and don't forget to say hi to your cousins, you hear?"
yeah. So it was funny. It was a great trip. But those,
It was.
They
being
get into character over
in
there.
there and the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique and just being able to be there with family, it was just so much fun. And that
Yeah,
and that was that's those trips is what made our DVC worthwhile,
for
is to
sure.
have the family be able to join us. So
For
Hmm.
sure. Family is the most important thing.
yeah. All right. So that's my fourth memory.
Oh, so on to my last one.
Last one,
Yeah.
And
Brenda.
speaking of family,
Uh-huh.
this memory encompasses 2012 and beyond.
Okay.
So it is being able to share my most favorite place in the whole wide world with my beautiful granddaughters.
Oh, there.
Oh,
And the first trip
wow.
was 2012 with Aaliyah. She was 1 year old. And since then, we've had many visits with Aaliyah and McKinley, who are now 9 and 7. And Butch and I decided years ago that for each of the granddaughters' fifth birthday, they would get a free trip to Disney for their birthday. So we've done Aaliyah's, we've done McKinley's. Next up comes Ivy and then Luna, and Ivy's 4 and Luna's 2. So we have a few years for that one, but sharing sharing this with them is just the most precious thing. That
Yeah.
was 2012 was also the first time we ever went to Akershus, because when my kids and I when we started traveling, the youngest was 6, and he was a boy. So we didn't do like the princess dining stuff much. And so
Right.
in 2012, when we took Aaliyah, that was our first time going to Akershus, and we stayed at the Wilderness Lodge for the first time, which we love, and it was so wonderful. But I mean, just sharing that,
Hmm.
sharing Disney with those precious little girls is,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's not my fifth favorite, but chronologically it was my fifth favorite.
That's okay.
So,
That's
yep,
okay.
that's it for me. And I said there's many, many more special memories at Disney, and I mean taking like our friends kids through the years that otherwise would not have been able to go, and
Right.
things like that meant a lot to us
Mhm.
too. But that wraps up my top 5.
Okay. Well,
So
thank you, Brenda.
That
you're
is
welcome.
amazing. Thank you.
You're
So,
welcome.
what's your fifth one, Sophie? The best for last.
My fifth one actually does not even take place in the parks.
Oh.
Okay.
And this is courtesy of my Aunt Sheila and Jagan. And when I was in California one year, my Aunt Sheila, who knows Joe Dunn, he works for marketing at Disney,
Oh,
he she managed to get us a VIP tour of the Disney studios.
Oh, awesome.
And I got to meet, not only did I get to meet Joe Dunn, I got to meet Mark Han, and he works on a bunch of the Disney princesses, a bunch of them. And I just remember I was talking to him, and I was in high school at the time. I had, I think I was just a year away from starting my college courses. I was a sophomore, and my college courses started when I was a junior, and I was telling him about it, and I said, you just do what you can to get your foot in the door. And that impressed him
Mhm.
to the point that after I had gone home, and this was months later, they ran into him again at D23.
Oh,
And
awesome.
he asked Aunt Sheila, he said, "Where's your other daughter?" He was talking about me.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, she's back in North Carolina with her family." Well, he was like, "Wait, so she's not your daughter?" And she was like, "No, she's my niece." I unfortunately never took up this opportunity because I never had the chance to take it up. But I remember I remember her telling me that he recommended if I ever came to California and I needed an internship to apply at Disney.
That's awesome.
Yes, and it was so humbling and amazing.
Totally.
yeah.
Mhm.
Especially when we just did the series we just finished. I mean, look how
Yeah.
many people were mentored. I mean, my goodness gracious, what an opportunity.
Yeah, it was, oh my gosh,
And you have your
I,
whole future in front of you, Sophie.
I
Yep.
do.
You sure do, honey.
So
Mhm.
exciting.
Yeah. That's a great memory,
Yeah,
Sophie.
for
Way to
sure.
pull that
Yeah.
out because, I never would have thought of that. And
That's awesome.
I didn't even think about you picking that for your memory. That is just so cool. Good job,
I
honey.
was
Very
I
good.
was tempted to talk about Steph and Shane, and when I found out that Stephanie had been proposed to by her now husband at Disney, I was tempted to talk about that, but I was not actually there to see it because I was so young when it happened and I was doing other things.
Yeah, you were at Animal Kingdom in our two bedroom. We
Mhm.
were we were there, and you were with Miss Monica and Madeline Lois,
Yeah.
and um and I think even River and
Ray.
Isaiah.
Oh, wait, yeah. For a second I thought River wasn't even in our lives back then.
No, no, Aunt Carrie's River.
Yeah. River is one of my adopted cousins. Well,
Yeah,
cousins by choice.
exactly.
There you go.
So, but yeah, that is a good memory. And I thought about that. That's kind of an honorable mention for me because Cindy and I were there, and so was Kyle and Shane had called me because he knew we were going to Disney, and he knew that he had been invited along with his brother, and I knew he was dating Stephanie, and so he called me one afternoon, and he was like, "So I'm getting ready to do this, and I wanted to see if you had any thoughts about where I could do it at Disney." And so we talked about, about him doing that um, in front of the castle, and it really was cool, and it was Disney magic, right, Brenda?
Yes.
Because here's what happened that day. We went to the Magic Kingdom. We were there in the morning, I think, and we were there till about mid afternoon or something. And then the sky just exploded. I mean, it opened up and it rained for like hours.
Oh,
And
goodness
so
gracious.
we went back to our place. We went back to Animal Kingdom Lodge. We were actually Kidani Village. And Shane and Kyle were staying over at Pop off site because it was appropriate for them to stay on their own. Um, because you can't stay in the same room as Steph because you're not married. So anyway, so they had their own accommodations, but but Steph was doing homework while it was pouring, and eventually, it stopped raining, and it was a night with extra magic hours. And so we decided, look, we've got extra magic hours. The park is open until 2 a.m.
And we got some
Let's go
magic to do.
back. We got some stuff to do. And I knew that was the day that he wanted to do it. And so we went back there, and it was like the best night. I mean, like the rain had drove everyone away. There
Yeah.
was no one there for extra magic. It was like the park was closed. It was like July, Sophie, when we were there, and there was no one there. Um,
Wow.
it was that kind of, and you weren't there, but you were there in spirit. And one of the cool things about that memory, and I wasn't going to make this my fifth memory, and I'm still not sure. I might take host prerogative and make it my number 6 or something. But one of the things that did happen to that trip, and that just speaks to Sophie, is Sophie took her own money and she insisted that we use her money, and we went to one of the gift shops, and Sophie bought wedding ears for Steph and Shane,
Oh, that's
and
so
they had them on their
sweet.
table and when they got married.
Oh, that's
And
Mhm.
so sweet.
so we even paid for their names to be put on them. So
That's very sweet.
Mhm.
anyway, that was a great memory. I was going to talk about my first visit ever. And what's funny about the first visit, it was also 1979. I was 11 years old, and my grandparents had moved to Port Richey, Florida in 1978 in October. And so we flew down. They paid for my mom and my sister and I to fly down to see them. And as part of our trip there, my dad was self-employed, so he was at home working, unfortunately. And so it was just the three of us, and they took us to Disney, and they also took us to Cape Canaveral.
Awesome.
But I never forget, we drove to Disney. We drove to the Magic Kingdom. We drove up World Drive, and it's like, what it's like. You driving there, and it's like you're driving for hours, and you're leaving the state of Florida, and all of a sudden you see this parking deck, and you see this monorail, this futuristic train, and you take the train, and you see this castle, you see this train station, and
Yeah,
it's like you've left Florida, you've left the United States, you've
that's
left the
right.
and you are in another world, and you really are, and that's why it's Walt Disney World.
Yep.
Um, and it was so cool. I don't remember hardly anything from that trip except my first impression of Main Street. My sister says that I rode on Space Mountain and absolutely hated it. I don't even remember riding it. Um, I remember we had tickets. We had to give the little
Yep.
tickets,
The little e-tickets.
or whatever type of ticket
Yep.
we had. You
I
only
remember
paid
that.
a certain number of dollars, like $3 to get into the park,
Yeah.
and then bought
Yes.
your ticket. And I'm like, it's almost like you're going to the state fair in that regard, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't remember hardly anything about that trip except that it really did, like you said, it planted that bug, and it just opened that whole thing, you know?
Snatched your heart, didn't it?
Yep.
I
Yep.
remember being when we were staying at the Contemporary, you had a like a lanyard you wore around your neck that showing that you were a guest at the Contemporary, because the only way you could ride the monorail was if you were staying at either the Polynesian or the Contemporary. It
Uh-huh.
wasn't like people didn't go there and just eat and stuff like that back then
Oh,
in
you mean
70.
the monorail to the resorts?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
'Cause I was gonna be
Yeah,
like,
you
we
had to
parked.
be like a guest of the resort, so it wasn't like crazy busy, like now.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because I remember going around the monorail when we parked, and then we went from the transportation ticket
Right.
center to the park
Yeah, that loop was
monorail,
open.
and I was like, whoa, because it was such a cool thing, you
It
know?
is. It
And
still
you
is.
know, it still is. And I remember when we were there in January of 2001, when Cindy was pregnant with that kid, um, and we were like, and we were on the monorail to go to the Magic Kingdom, and that's when we saw Cinderella's coach from a lady who had gotten married, and she was being driven off with her husband in Cinderella's coach
Wow.
from the grand. I told Cindy, I'm like, I'm sorry, but if Sophie wants to get married there, I'm sorry, we're getting married there.
Yeah.
So
Gives her
don't hold
something
me
to
to
look
that
forward
now,
to.
though, Sophie. I can't afford it now.
No, 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 no. First, I need to find. First, I need to
Mr.
find
Your
someone.
Prince Charming.
Yeah. So anyway, okay, everybody, we've rambled enough. That concludes our feature topic on our favorite Disney memories. And I want to know, what are your favorite Disney memories? You know, we love talking about our memories, but we want to know what yours are. So remember, look us up on Facebook, look us up um in all of our different channels, Instagram, whatever, and just send us an email if you want, and just let us know. Um,
Hmm.
you know,
And we do have a few people that we've decided to talk about their favorite
yeah,
memories.
yeah. You know what? Let's go ahead and do that. You're right, Sophie.
Yeah.
Um, and we did pose this question in our Facebook group, and John said 3 years ago he went for his birthday, and he was being told by cast members of all the different freebies they give out for your birthday, and it was a lot of things he didn't know about, even though he was a cast member. It was stuff that has been incorporated since. So that's really cool. That's a good memory. Um, and then Deb, she talked about being able to share her happy place with her grandniece Gabby and all the fun they had at Mickey's Halloween party in October 2019.
Oh,
Everything
wow.
was magical for the entire trip. I still look at our PhotoPass pictures and just smile and am so very thankful. The most magical moment was when we all had our picture taken with Mickey.
Oh, those are
That.
such sweet memories.
Yeah. So, Sophie, do you want to read Mommy's
Mhm.
memory? Or Brenda, do you want
Yeah,
to?
I'll
No,
read it.
Sophie, go ahead.
Yeah, this one is from my mom, and her favorite memory was seeing me splashing at the Winnie the Pooh Splash Playground when I was 5. I actually do not remember that at all, and it's no longer there because of the Fantasyland expansion. And she also says that she really enjoyed seeing me and my cousin Anna Jane get our hair done at the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. and being at the castle when Shane proposed to Stephanie. I see that a lot of the things I mentioned are things we mentioned are things that she also enjoys. And she also really enjoys riding every single roller coaster with you, Daddy, since
Yeah.
July of 2000. And
Sweet.
that, I believe, that's when you went while she was still pregnant with me, isn't it?
Well, July of 2000 was before we got married, and
Oh,
we weren't
wait, you're
pregnant.
right.
And we went. I took Cindy. It was her first trip to Disney, Brenda,
Oh, awesome.
and I took her for July 3rd and July 4th. We were visiting my grandparents. We drove down with my mom and dad, and we were staying at Grandma and Grandpa's house. Um, and we went to the Magic Kingdom on July 3rd, I think, and Epcot on July 4th. And it was the first time she had ever been, and and she was hooked.
Yep. Yep. You had her hooked then. There's
Yep,
no way y'all were going to be
yep.
breaking up after that.
And we got married the
Mhm.
following month on August 11th. So we've been married
That's
over
awesome.
20 years now.
Oh,
But
congratulations.
but Sophie, I remember you playing at the Winnie the Pooh Splash Playground, and I've got a picture because you were wearing a little skirt, like one of those skirts with the shorts underneath. So it looks like a skirt, but it's really shorts.
Score.
And a skirt. There, thank you. I'd forgotten. You lose it when you don't live the
When
lingo
you don't
anymore.
wear one, huh?
But anyway, I you were climbing one of the houses and I called to you and you looked over, you got down and you looked over at me and you were absolutely soaking wet because you had stood where the water comes down, where the water comes up out of the ground, and it basically let you just give you a shower right there.
Oh
Your clothes were absolutely so wet. I mean, like
Oh,
you could wring them out like a hand towel. It
oh,
was so
no.
funny.
no. Oh, wow.
So I remember that, and that was a cool memory.
That's cute.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
All right. So that really wraps us up for our feature topic on the road with Mickey feature topic of our favorite Disney memories. So, Sophie, that brings us to this day in Disney history.
Yep.
So, what do
And
you got for us?
I have got two very romantic things because as of the posting of this video, yesterday was Valentine's Day. Happy Singles Awareness Day. And I have two things, and they're very romantic. I'm very fond of these ones. And the first one is in 1899,
Wow.
February 15th,
where
18.
a very special woman named Lillian Marie Bounds is born in Spalding, Idaho. And for those of you who do not recognize the name Lillian, she is the wife of Walt Disney. And she grew up in Lapwai, Idaho, on the Nez Perce Indian Reservation. Her father worked as a blacksmith and a federal marshal. Lillian moved to California in 1923 to join her sister Hazel, who was already living in Los Angeles. She took a job at the new Disney Studios, where she worked first as a secretary and then an ink artist before marrying the boss on July 13th, 1925.
The
She was
scandal.
married. Yep. Yeah. She was married to him for 41 years, and during that time, she was her husband's primary sounding board. Following Walt's death, Mrs. Disney became active in a number of charitable programs, primarily children and the arts. Later in her life, she was active in fundraising for the Disney Concert Hall.
Nice.
Beautiful.
So
What
life
a
well
woman.
lived.
What a woman.
Life well lived.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm. And then my next thing happens in 1950. And this one is very special to me because this was my favorite Disney movie when I was younger. And in 1950, February 15th, Disney's animated feature film Cinderella is released.
Oh.
It is the 12th in the Walt Disney Animated Classics series, but overall the 16th feature film to be released. It's based on the fairy tale Cinderella, of course.
Mhm.
And as we all know, it features the iconic scene of Cinderella's dress pixie dust transformation that Walt loved so much. And well, that's really all I have to say about it, other than it will be one of the top grossing films of 1950, and it will be nominated for 3 Academy Awards.
Nice.
Beautiful movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you, Sophie.
Thank you.
All right, and that brings us to our Disney Who's Who character.
It does.
I just opened the book and I came to, and let me put my glasses back on because I cannot see otherwise. I came to Nemo.
Oh, nice.
Nemo is a curious and impressionable 6-year-old clownfish. I don't know if clownfish actually live to be 6 years old or not. Not in the wild, maybe they don't. But anyway, who lives alone with his overprotective single father, Marlin. Nemo has led a very sheltered life. He yearns for adventure and dreams of seeing the wonders of the Great Barrier Reef. Despite being born with one smaller, weaker fin, Nemo doesn't let anything hold him back. Unfortunately, his can-do attitude doesn't always have the best results. Determined to be caught by a scuba diver and taken to live in a tank at a dentist's office. It is only once he's been captured that Nemo learns the real meaning of bravery and comes to truly appreciate his father. These days, Nemo is happy to spend his time with Marlin and their friend Dory in the sea anemone he calls home, though he still enjoys a good adventure. So, 2 bits of Did You Know? The first one is that did you know that Nemo makes a cameo in Monsters, Inc. as a toy in Boo's room?
I did.
Okay. On our Alexa, I always get that one wrong. For whatever reason, when we do Disney trivia on Alexa, I get that one wrong, and I'm not sure why, but I do.
I do remember
Maybe
it,
I'll
though.
remember it this time.
Yeah. Nemo, Jessie makes a cameo. The Luxor ball, the
Mhm.
Luxo ball. Yep, all of them make a cameo in Boo's room.
Yep. Well, do you know what Nemo translated in Latin means?
No one.
Okay. What about you, Brenda? Well, don't
Don't
worry.
know.
Sophie was right. It is
Well,
no
of course she was.
Sophie's
And
got
also, I
Google in her
just
brain.
Google in my brain and Google on my screen. I promise I didn't look those 2 things up, but I did find out that in the wild, clownfish actually live 6 to 10 years. They live 3 to 5 years in captivity.
Oh, well, thank you, Sophie.
Thank you.
So I'm glad I know that. But that's my Disney Who's Who character for this week.
Awesome. He's so
And-
cute.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And then lastly, I have our Walt Disney quote for February 15th. This is on the subject of children, young and old. And I said, or I didn't say, I will read, but Walt said, and I quote, "To the youngsters of today, I say, believe in the future. The world is getting better. There is still plenty of opportunity. Why, would you believe it? when I was a kid, I thought it was already too late for me to make good at anything. And look
Wow.
where he ended up.
Oh my gosh, really. Look at where we all ended up because of him.
Yeah. So just remember, believe in the future. Believe in yourself and believe in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a great quote to end on.
I agree totally.
So, what are we talking about next week? We should have asked that question before we started recording.
We'll figure it out. We always do.
We always do.
If you have some suggestions, send them to us.
That's true.
Exactly. We'd love to hear them. But I will just say thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Sophie,
Thank you.
for joining me. I am always enjoying our podcast episodes, and I hope you guys are too. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. And for everyone else, have a great week. And ladies, we will
See you
See
on
you
the
on the
road.
road.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.